Ladies and gentlemen, power is over. But that does not mean for one instant of a second that the fun is over. Without a doubt, you are here because the power is out. So stick around, because it's Power Out. Yeah, it's Power Out.
What's going on, friends? It is Tuesday night. It's time for your Love Wrestling double feature of reactions, kicked off with Power Out right here on the Love Wrestling YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook channels. If you're joining us live, thank you. If you're joining us after the fact, also thank you. If you're joining us on podcast, thank you very much. However you're tuning in, thank you. Immediately after Power Out, you can catch NXT, the T. I always forget the T gesture. I do apologize. Covering the NXT reaction immediately after. You don't have to leave the stream. That's going to be hosted by Ed and Astrid. But Power Out tonight is hosted by myself as always, and my guest host tonight. You hear him every week on Power Out. You just heard him in the introduction. I am welcoming back the Wordsmith. How are you, friend?
Intergalactic salutations, good sir. I am glorious this evening, ready to talk about an upcoming pay-per-view. 4 Christmas trees is too many there. I think I've hit all of my gimmicks this week. Let's move on.
Well, speaking of intergalactic and 4 Christmas trees, Pluggo himself, this show is out of this world good. I know that's thinly veiled, but I thank you all the same for the compliment.
There is no veil. There is no veil.
Pluggo, glad to have you. If you have any thoughts on tonight's the upcoming NWA pay-per-view, please share them, because that's what we're going to be doing on today's episode. We're going to be taking a deep dive preview into the Hard Times 2 pay-per-view. This one's just for you, Wordsmith. 4 Christmas tree emojis.
We were friends. Now we're not.
And again, we've got a very big card to discuss. 13 matches, championships from 3 different promotions are all on the line. Lots to discuss. And before we do so, just going to thank the good people at RK Athletics for doing good things and helping us keep the lights on here at lovewrestling.ca. Whatever your fitness goals, if you are in the Edmonton area, reach out to Rich King at rkathletics.ca or drop him a DM on Twitter or Instagram at rkathletics1. If you're not in Edmonton, also okay, because they've got lots of online resources available at your disposal. rkathletics.ca and RK Athletics 1 on Twitter and Instagram. Please be sure to check them out and start chasing your fitness goals today. But again, we are discussing Hard Times 2 coming up this Saturday on pay-per-view. Wordsmith, it's been a while since you've tuned into NWA Live. What have you been excited for peripherally regarding the NWA?
Rebellion.
Rebellion.
That's it. Love those guys. Also, I like the idea, but we're going to get through all the matches, but I really like the announcement that I saw the other day. Mickey James, Kiera Hogan.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, take my money. They already had it. I already ordered it. Now I have to actually watch it. So there's that.
I mean, up until before that match was announced, like, they already had a very stacked card at 12 matches, but like that's the kind of match you make room for. Glad to see that Mickey James and Kiera Hogan have made their way onto the card. We will get to that, but we have, again, quite a handful of matches to discuss. Astrid, thank you for joining us. Ladies, shouting out to the amazing women performers of the NWA and all the talent that they are welcoming from out of house. And Pluggo saying, admittedly, I haven't watched yet, but had to show you too some love. So much appreciated, Pluggo. Thank you guys for joining us tonight. By the way, just getting this out of the way early, I am not an alien.
Yes,
let's discuss.
That's an alien thing to say. Move on. Stop denying.
Ed's with us, the Wordsmith and the ampersand. The ampersand, Pluggo, but that's enough of the inside terms and inside jokes. We got wrestling to discuss.
I think
we do. We do. I'm going to work from the top to the bottom of the card. We're going to, before we, That makes sense. That's what we're going to do. We're going to, the first match we got listed officially is Jax Dane taking on Matthew Mims. I got a lot of time for this match because Mims has been just absolutely impressive as of late. He really won me over a few weeks back in an absolutely stellar contest. And, you know, Jax Dane, he's been doing really good heel work, especially against, now that he's picked up that big win over Crimson. I would have liked to see him maybe be a little higher up the card, especially after such a marquee win over his former tag team partner in the War Dogs. What do you think of this one, Wordsmith?
I like it. I like both these guys. I'm not totally up on the storyline, as it were, but no, two people that I like, and looking forward to it.
Yeah, truth be told, there's not really much storyline happening here. Like this whole card is kind of a mix of like just kind of exhibitions that are thrown together, and also matches that do have that depth of storyline and whatnot. And this is one of the former. That being said, I think it'll be a good match if it's given enough time, and that's going to be, you know, there's a lot of ground to cover on the pay-per-view, so I'm not sure if this one's going to get the time to tell a really great story as it would on maybe your standard episode of Power or whatnot.
To use the phrase, and I've always enjoyed this phrase in the world of professional wrestling, and I know, actually, you know what? I won't even have to swear. I'll just get your stuff in, folks. Get your stuff in. It's the PG version of Wordsmith, I suppose.
Yeah. Get your stuff in.
Get it in.
You don't have to go over, but you have to get over, etc., etc. Yes. Another something of an exhibition match, and it's welcoming back a very familiar face, someone that with the Wordsmith I know you're fond of, and I'm happy to see him back on my television screen. Colby Corino will be taking on the one and only Doug Williams, coming back coming back to wrestling. I think he's been working the independent scene, but I haven't seen him on my television in quite some time, and I'm very eager to see it again. I see already adjusting your cuffs, Wordsmith. You're excited.
Douglas Williams. I could do this all night. But no, I love me. I used to love me some British Invasion back in the old Impact, TNA, whatever it was at the time. Him and a very familiar looking Brutus Magnus. Wonder where that guy ended up. But no, yes, very, very excited to see Mr. Douglas Williams. Should be Sir Douglas Williams. He deserves to be knighted.
I don't really keep up with the British monarchy and what their criteria is for knighthood, but I can't imagine that Douglas Williams does not fit the criteria. I'm with you. Knighthood should happen. Wordsmith, I was about to mute because like the airplane was just passing by and like afford you, but you're literally across the courtyard from me in this little apartment building. So like, I feel like if I mute you, it's not going to make a difference because we're both going to, the airplane is going to get picked up on either of our mics. Did you hear it?
Sure, what you want me to say.
There's really nothing to add other than, just this is going to be part of the charm and nuance and ambience of this particular episode. I like seeing Colby Corino in this position. Like he's kind of, like he's as a second generation star. It's really nice to see him paired up against established veterans such as Douglas Williams. If between this match and Jax Dane versus Mims, this is the one I would want Corino versus Williams to get a little more time than the former.
Yes. And I think that's very well put. Very, very well put with the second generation star. He's not a second generation wrestler. This man, this boy, this kid, as old people like to say, is a star. Yeah, absolutely. Colby Corino is a star in waiting. Cannot wait to see what he does later on in his career. And I like how the NWA is presently using him. We move on to a gauntlet match. It's the first of a pair of NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying matches. Once again, this is the gauntlet. I'm going to name a lot of names here. I'm familiar with some, not familiar with all of them. We got Alex Taylor versus Arya Davari versus C.W. Anderson versus Darius Lockhart versus Homicide versus Jeremiah Plunkett, Jamie Stanley versus Kerry Morton versus Luke Hawx versus PJ Hawx versus Sal Renaro versus Victor Benjamin. NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship. I just listed a bunch of names. Wordsmith, do any of those names jump out you as potential winners here? CW Anderson, because it's CW Anderson. And why not? Show some respect. Put some name on it.
Absolutely. Ed is with
some
you.
Respect on the name.
Yeah, Ed is with you. Oh yeah, you corrected yourself right here. CW Anderson. Yeah, he made a couple appearances early in the NWA, especially like the return of Power. He was kind of like hovering around in the television division, and yeah, so yeah, I think that might be a good spot for him. I mean, I'm a Homicide mark. I would love to see Homicide pick up a win, but at the same time, I'd like to maybe see it go to someone who is going to be a bit of an in-house name for the NWA, because they do have this problem of having people kind of just jump into title contention from seemingly out of nowhere, in which they haven't even been on NWA television. We're going to bring that up several times while discussing the rest of the card. So, I would go for like Homicide or maybe even Darius Lockhart, but my heart's going for Sal Renaro here too. Like,
yeah, he
please,
would definitely be on my list as well. There is a few people that I have not heard of, admittedly, in this match.
Same.
The Hawks. There was 2 Hawks in that match.
Yeah, Luke Hawks and PJ Hawks. Hawks Airy. It's a father and son duo.
They're definitely on my list of possible contenders for winning. So the winner at the end of this is going to be me, because I get to watch it and I don't have to compete in it. So there you go.
You're very lucky. You get to save on that bump card.
Oh, I do.
Okay, next up, we've got like the first match with some real substance behind the storyline of it. Former partners, members of the Strictly Business faction, and now bitter rivals. We have got Nick Aldis, the former NWA Heavyweights champion, taking on Tom Latimer. Again, like the way they've built this feud has been like pretty solid. Like their encounters in tag team action have been great. We got the destruction of Strictly Business happening in the form of a brutal attack on Nick Aldis. It's been really great television. My only issues with the build is like they kept writing Nick Aldis off throughout this, like, oh, he'll be back in a couple of weeks, and he's like back the next week, so no problem. But that is what it is. I'm still looking forward to the match itself. Where do you stand on this one?
Nick Aldis looks rather familiar. I think no, I will make that joke every single time. He's a Brutus person. Oh, I messed it up. Wordplay is not my strong suit, I promise. But no.
No wordsmith?
No. So just let the boys fight. In the words of the character from the Godzilla films, let them fight. Let it boil over. Let it go. I'm surprised it's not a no DQ match, but one can't always get what one wants.
Yeah, I mean, like, I wouldn't be surprised if they change things up going into the taping, but at the very least, I think we can expect a very physical contest. And maybe they have like something else lined up down the road. Maybe Latimer is the one to dethrone Trevor Murdoch at some point, and then we get Aldis versus Latimer for the NWA championship. It's not the direction I would want them to go, but like I definitely could see that is a potential direction that they might turn. Bobby, thanks for joining us. I'm looking forward to watching Natalia Markova wrestling on NWA on December 4th. Thank you so much for joining us, Bobby. We are actually going to be we are presently deep diving into the entire NWA Hard Times 2 card. We have not gotten to the tag team championship match, and I'm looking forward to discussing that. Please hang around and share your thoughts on the contest. There we go. We just talked about this one. Darius Lockhart wrestling for NWA. It's going to be a standout in a very packed gauntlet. I cannot wait to see all this unfurl. After we got Tom Latimer, between Nick Aldis and Latimer Wordsmith, who do you think is picking up the W?
Latimer. Only because why not keep it going? Give the devil his due.
Sorry. If I had the theme,
the cat.
It's Ticket the Cat.
Ticket the cat. Everybody look at this. Everybody look at that. It's Ticket the Cat. You've
got a theme song. I haven't played it.
A theme song.
moving on. Yeah, actually, no, I'm going to go with you. I think Latimer picks up the W here. I think there's a room for this story to grow and go beyond. It's like, this isn't a program that gets one pay-per-view. They're going to have at least a few more weeks out of this program.
It's a shifty finish, though. I think it's a very shifty finish.
It could be. It could be a very shifty finish. Oh, and again, there's also the possibility. Maybe you're onto something with Douglas Williams kind of maybe evening the odds when Strictly Business kind of gets involved. I'd like that. I think I would pop big for the British Invasion reunion, as it were. Take what equals ratings. Sure does. Hey, we actually just went up a viewer. Yeah. So there's some substance to that argument of ticket equals ratings.
It's got a theme song, and we're there. You go.
Now, the second of NWA World Junior Heavyweight Championship qualifying matches. This is not a gauntlet. This is a singles match. And to be honest, Mr. Wordsmith and I are not going to have very favorable things to say about this one. We've got Austin Aries taking on Rhett Titus for the qualifying match. I assume he's good. The winner of this one will go on to face the winner of the gauntlet. What do you think, Wordsmith? Get us warmed up on our rant. Wow, he's like taking a running start. Give him a moment, friends.
I do not like Austin Aries as a human being, but I understand that he is a good performer. However, do I want him on this pay-per-view? Absolutely not. And if you wonder why, just look at his Twitter. And, well, I don't know who the other guy is, but he looks like money to me compared to the guy he's in the ring with.
Well, Rhett Titus is part of the Ring of Honor household, so it's nice to see that the ROH talent is getting some work in NWA after the unfortunate news of what's really going on and unfurling with Ring of Honor. So again, like I'm not entirely familiar with Rhett Titus myself, but again, you can't frown too bad when an ROH talent is getting some regular work. I got time for this. I hope that Rhett Titus picks up the W, and that's mostly because of my personal issues with Austin Aries, which you have so eloquently outlined.
I'll be brash. I mean, if I must, then I must. I think if you're a professional wrestler and you have a platform, and you're vegan and you think you're better than everybody else and you're just obnoxious and you're a horrible person, I can't wait to see you on TV as a normal functioning member of society. I have no reason to dislike this person. Austin Aries is the best wrestler in the world. It's just great. I'm so excited he's back on television.
I think there was I could see you what's the word? I could see the menace. I believe the menace through your smile. There you are. We are moving on though. But speaking of Ring of Honor, we've got the Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships on the line. OGK. We got Matt Taven and Mike Bennett taking on challengers Aaron Stevens and Junior Kratos for the ROH Tag Team titles. Matt Taven and Mike Bennett had a great showing and their surprise appearance a few weeks back on NWA Power, which was like that was part of their By Any Means Necessary special. Really great showing, which is no surprise because they are exceptional talents in their own right. But of course, they're taking on the former NWA champions, NWA Tag Team champions Aaron Stevens and Junior Kratos, who have some dissension among their ranks. How do you see this playing out, Wordsmith?
I'm a Kratos fan. I'm a Kratos guy, but I also really like the OG Kingdom.
Yeah,
I don't want to pick sides.
Yeah,
it's like fighting amongst my family. I don't like picking sides, but yeah.
When you look at the four workers in this match and the two teams involved, like this has like match of the night potential, I think, because like again, you've got a really great story building between Kratos and Stevens. Kratos really just trying to unlock the killer inside Aaron Stevens. He's pushing his buttons, trying to get him to wake up because Kratos realizes if Stevens gets on Kratos's level, they're gonna just tear through everyone. And like I think that could be a really interesting story. At the same time, from what I understand, understand, because again, I'm not following Ring of Honor, is that OGK are recent champions in their own right. And I know that the tag team titles mean a whole lot to them, like the way they've been communicating with the audience over Twitter. There's been video packages speaking about why it's important to them to be the ROH tag team champions at this point in time, in this very tumultuous time for Ring of Honor. I don't want to see them lose, but at the same time, I do want to see them lose.
Just to see what would happen next.
Exactly.
If the NWA has the Ring of Honor championship, tag team championships, what'll happen next? We don't like talking about that forbidden door, and that's a forbidden door that I want kicked wide open to see what will come through next.
Absolutely.
Because it'll have to be two people. But who?
Who? That's a forbidden door that is rather locked shut.
Oh,
and
don't
sealed.
be sour.
I would love to not be sour, for just for the record. Bobby jumping in. I would like to see Mike Bennett and Matt Taven take on The End one day in NWA. Absolutely. At the End, we're going to talk about them in a little bit because they got a match coming up. But Ed jumping in, no letting OGK lose. We know where Ed stands on while Wordsmith and I just have trouble picking people in this particular contest.
I'm going to go with my old favorite, me, for this match. That's it.
Next up, triple threat action for the NWA Women's Tag Team Championships. We've got the champions, the Hex, Allison Kay and Marty Bell, taking on Kylie Ray and Tootie Lynn against Lady Frost and Natalia Markova. Very exciting match because, like, again, Kylie Ray's going to be back in an NWA ring, and Tootie Lynn is just on the rise. Lady Frost, another one who has just been showcased so very well in NWA, and now is also making waves in Impact Wrestling as well. I am admittedly not so familiar with Natalia Markova, and again, I am a huge fan of the Hex. I don't really know which way this could go. I think the easy way is for the Hex to pick up the win, and maybe simplicity wins out here, and the champions retain. What do you think?
The words of Tina Turner, we don't always like to do things nice and easy. This is the NWA, so who knows? I absolutely adore everyone in this match. I'll be perfectly honest with you. I'm not familiar with everyone, but everyone that I do know is on the list of stunningly talented and on my list to watch every time they're on a show. So this is going to be a darn good match. And I think the champions retain.
Yeah.
Because they just win it like 2 months ago?
It was crowned at It was crowned at Empower. So yeah, that's in the ballpark of 2 months ago. Yeah.
So I think they keep it, and I think they have a longer run. I don't really like championships changing hands in especially three-way tag matches. It's a bit clunky, but I doubt that this match will be clunky the whole way through. But yeah. I'd like to see a clean team versus team loss for them eventually. Not now, though. Not now.
I hear you. I have the same reservations about tag team triple threat matches, and like they're always like questionably structured. And but again, we've got a lot of really great talent in this ring. We've got the champs. Everyone's got all the time in the world for Kylie Ray, Tootie Lynn again on the rise. Lots of stuff to like, but we're gonna have to see how it plays out. I'm glad Bobby weighs in here because Bobby is clearly the very enthusiastic NWA fan joining us via over on YouTube. Bobby's pick, the Hex, Allison Kay, and Marty Bell to win. And I too think that's the safe bet. Dare Amazing, thank you so much for joining us on this particular edition of the Love Wrestling Double Feature. Once again, going to remind everyone who's joining us right now that this is the first part of the double feature, that NXT, the NXT reaction show will be happening immediately after. You do not have to leave this stream, and Astrid and Ed will be with you talking NXT very, very shortly. But first, we got a few more matches to discuss. We have got, oh boy, the NWA National Championship. Chris Adonis taking on the winner of the legendary Battle Royal from NWA 73, the match that had everyone on their feet, the match that had Mr. Excitement himself, Jedias, pick up the win to the Chase Hart Plaza just blew up for that. Oh boy, that's all the hyperbole I got for the rest of the evening. I have spent it all. That is not what's going to happen. Wordsmith, Jedias versus Chris Adonis. What do you think?
Oh, sorry, what?
Yeah.
Next.
Honestly, I'm happy to skip this too. Like, it's not even Jedias's fault, man. Like, he was just thrown to the wolves by putting him in this awful position of winning the battle royal when no one knew who he was. They didn't and just like they had the battle royal crowd sitting on their hands, and he has not been able to recover, despite he's working hard. Like, he's been okay on NWA Power, and if he wasn't just like hot-shotted right at the beginning, it would have done him a lot more favors. Chris Adonis for the win. I think that's a safe bet. Keep the belt within strictly a business. You want to move on?
I don't care about this match.
Well, here's one.
I love me some Chris Adonis, but this will not be good.
Well, again, here's another match that we're both very.
This will be the match of the night.
We're not very enthusiastic to discuss this match because I've made it very clear how we feel about Austin Idol's client, the television champion here on Empower. We usually avoid discussing him, but because it is a marquee match for on an NWA pay-per-view, here we have Tyrus taking on the masked man Scion. And here's the real kicker. We got the special guest referee in this no disqualification match being the Pope. Now, here's the thing. Again, I've made it clear how I feel about Tyrus. Now, the match that they have built, NWA put a lot of effort into building this match. So much so that I actually have to acknowledge it. They don't always do a great job focusing on individual matches. They kind of just like put all this card together and just like throw it at you all at once, like about a week before the pay-per-view. For Hard Times, they really built the card piecemeal. They let you know with some of the matches, not all of them. And this match, I don't get, after all the rivalry, how it's been presented. I do not get why the Pope, former TV champion himself, is a special guest referee. I want to see Pope move on to something else. Wordsmith.
I'm trying to think of something nice to say. And I think I may have found it in regards to... It's Tyrus. He's calling me and telling me to be nice. No, I'm trying to think of something nice to say, and I'll be honest, I will give Tyrus credit where credit is due. The television championship has gotten a lot more TV time than it deserves on the wrong network with the wrong opinions and around the wrong person's waist. Was I nice? Probably not. Pope deserves better. I will say this every single time I'm on this show. Pope deserves better. Pope deserves better. Pope deserves better. I wonder if Pope deserves better, because he does.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I was really just hoping that, if they were going to do that whole program with Pope and Tyrus, that they would be able to move Pope on to bigger, better things. And maybe that's down the line, and that's why the NWA Championship match has a bit of a filler opponent. But again, we'll get to that in just a moment. Yeah, you know what? Scion. Let's get the belt on Scion and move on from Tyrus.
Yes.
Yeah. Now let's move on to the NWA Tag Team Championship match, because I know it's one that you are eager to discuss. We've got La Rebellion, Bestia 666, and Mecha Wolf taking on
my boy Mecha Wolf
and Odin's son and Pero. This is just going to be a brutal showing. Again, La Rebellion has been so entertaining in an NWA ring. I really commend NWA for letting La Rebellion work a very lucha style, which is not very you don't see a lot of that in the NWA, and the Rebellion has been great when given the opportunity. And again, the end, Odinson and Pero, man, I am a huge Pero fan, and I become a bigger Odinson fan every time I see him. This is another match I am happy with whoever wins, but if I'm going to give the edge to either of them, it's going to be La Rebellion.
I don't even have to say anything else. Look at who's in this match. Look at who's there. Big beefy boy versus big beefy boys. It's just so good. Tag team wrestling. I love it.
Dare Amazing jumping in. I heard that NWA is getting a cruiserweight or middleweight. Yeah, that's exactly the case. We got the NWA Junior Heavyweight Championship unfurling. We got the gauntlet match and then a singles match between Austin Aries and Rhett Titus. And from what we understand, the winners of those two will have a match. I don't know if it's at the pay-per-view or maybe someday down the road, but a new NWA Junior Heavyweight Champion will be crowned soon.
I think Juventude should come back and win it. Just saying.
Oh man, I
replace that wonderful person that I'm not going to talk about again because he's a great guy. Opinions aside.
We've got 3 more matches to discuss. First up, we've got the Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship, the third of 3 companies championships being defended. Impact Wrestling Knockouts Championship match between Mickie James and Kiera Hogan. These two had a match a few weeks ago. This was it was recorded before Mickie James won the Impact Women's Championship, but it was aired after she became champion. So now that the title is on the line, there's a little more substance to the match, even though the match itself last time was absolutely fantastic. What do you think about this one?
I mean, what else do you need to say? Look at the people in it. I just said this a few moments ago, but this card is just hit after hit after hit. Mm-hmm. This match will be good. It will be fantastic, and I think there's a lot of there are a couple of women's matches, and I think this will definitely be on par. In fact, if I could be biased for a moment, I think this would be, on another level from them, and I think we might actually see a little bit of interference from a certain virtuosa, just to kind of make things a little bit more interesting.
Absolutely. I mean,
I have a feeling I'd love to see it.
That rivalry is certainly continuing on Impact Television, and NWA is always welcoming to Impact talent, especially when Mickie James is involved. So I would not be surprised if you are on the money with that one. I think Mickie James retains for that very reason. I think we still got a lot of ground to cover with the virtuoso Deonna Purrazzo and Mickie James. So I think that match is going to happen once again down the road. So Mickie James
is love wrestling, by the way, Deonna Purrazzo. Just
absolutely
throwing that out there.
Next, the second women's championship match, the NWA Women's Championship, Camille versus Melina. Man, I am just becoming a bigger fan of Camille each time she performs. She is just getting better and better. Her instincts are so good. She's had my attention since the match at Empower against legit Layla Hirsch. And again, she had a match a few weeks ago against Kenzie Page, 2 out of 3 falls, and it was just a brilliant story. I would like to see she's going against Melina. Melina is just as good as anyone that Camille has been in the ring with. And if any match needs time, it is this one. Camille versus Melina. Let them eat as much of the time of the pay-per-view as possible, and let them steal the show. What do you think?
Yes, on all fronts. I have had how do I put this? The moment I saw Camille with Nick Aldis back years ago at this point, I think 2 or 3 years ago, the first time I saw her, I think it was on a Ring of Honor show. I thought, who is that and why is she not a champion? She's the look of Camille and like you said, the way that she's progressed. Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it. And well, look who the opponent is. It's Melina. How can you be mad?
I mean, you go back to Empower and you look at the card and you ask what the 2 show-stealing matches were. You have to say both Camille's and Melina's matches, and it's going to be very exciting to put them together.
Mm-hmm.
Pardon me. But moving on, we have, it's a shame. We've just discussed a handful of very...
We didn't pick a winner for that match, though.
This is a fair point. I think Camille's going to pick up the win because, I don't know, I see them building her as one of the the quote unquote pillars of the NWA. They've been doing a really great job building her up, and it would be a shame to see it stop just now. I love Melina. She's amazing, but I think she's going to do a lot more for the NWA by losing to Camille than if she was to be the champion.
Yeah, those are my thoughts exactly. Build up Camille as this force, just like they did with, I mean, it's questionable to be honest, but just like they did with Nick Aldis.
Yeah.
Just let her run the division.
I like it. If she gets several years out of the reign, I think they do it right. I have time for it. Absolutely.
Exactly.
And again, we just discussed a handful of very dynamic and exciting matches, and it's almost a shame that we have to end the show discussing this match because, again, it's really just out of nowhere. I don't really understand it, but we got Trevor Murdoch defending his NWA World's Heavyweight Championship against Mike Knox. Now, again, you were surprised to hear about that when I told you about it today. Now that you've had some time to think about it, what do you think about Murdoch versus Knox?
When you ride with the aces and eights, you never ride alone. And clearly there is some shenanigans going on inside the booking room. People say that the aces and eights doesn't exist anymore. I beg to differ. There's money being exchanged hands to get Knox on this card. That's my expert opinion. Of all the aces and eights members in history, he's definitely one of them. I don't understand why he's on this card. I'm happy he's working because it's good, I suppose. This will be a match.
This will be a match.
There will be men. There will be Mr. Murdoch and Mike Knox will be involved. I don't know. I'm confused. I saw it and I was like, was there no one else?
Yeah, I'm with you, friend. But you got people who share the aces and eights enthusiasm in the room. Our own Ed, aces and eights forever, baby. A dead man's hand from Dare Amazing. And Dare Amazing,
this is why you're my favorite fan ever.
And to answer your question here, Dare Amazing, how many title matches were on this show? We've got 8, possibly 9, if we get the finals in the junior heavyweight championship situation. Who knows what's going to happen
really
there?
Good spread for a 13 match.
Crazy. It's crazy how many. But yeah, I'm with Bobby. Trevor Murdoch is my pick to win as well. Again, I don't get it, man.
Unless there's a reunion of aces and eights, this doesn't make sense.
I have no ill will, none whatsoever towards Mike Knox. Fine, whatever. And maybe Trevor Murdoch just needs a filler opponent. Also fine, whatever. You also got Jack Stain, who already works for the NWA, who might be better suited for that position. But that's neither here nor there. I don't get, I would get this if this was a star we were talking about, if someone from upper echelon WWE, even upper mid card. But we're talking about Mike Knox. I am willing to say you will not find 10 people in all of NWA's fandoms or outside of NWA's fans who are buying this pay-per-view for Mike Knox. Not 10. It's ridiculous. Why Mike Knox? I don't get it. The crowd is going to be sitting on their hands, much like they did for Jedias, and it's a shame for everyone involved. It's not Mike Knox's fault he's being put in this position, but he's being put in a position to fail. This match does nothing for nobody. Doesn't help Trevor Murdoch, doesn't help Mike Knox, doesn't help the NWA. This is a bad move. Very bad move.
Do you know who he is?
Who? Oh, no, don't. If
Could
he shows,
you imagine
can you imagine the heat?
The heat. If Bully Ray shows up and is just like, I fooled all of you. Like, if they pulled an Impact,
if the aces
save NWA, that's how you save the main event. You have the aces and eights reunite. Forbidden Door. Everybody's talking about the Bullet Club. Give me aces and eights. It's been years. We need it.
Oh my!
It's a setup.
I'm so afraid you're right. I'm so afraid you're right. Oh my God, the aces and eights are coming back, and they're coming back to the NWA. But honestly, at the same time, that might be the best move that Billy Pumpkins can do. Billy Pumpkins. And thank you for introducing that to my lexicon, by the way. I will not. Yeah, I will not be referring to him as otherwise. Billy
It's
Pumpkins.
its own thing. I'm telling you.
But anyway, before I rant further on Mike Knox, let's just agree that Trevor Murdoch should pick up the W here. But Wordsmith, our own resident poet here at Love Wrestling, reimagining wrestling promos as spoken word poetry. What did you drop this week?
Well, I dropped an episode that I'm very proud of. And it is a special tribute episode to a man who I've looked up to, a man who I've admired, a man who I have seen quite a few times and probably spent way too much money on this person. However, that man is Ozzy Osbourne. And the reason he's a Hall of Famer, a two-time Hall of Famer, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, like it means anything, and WWE Hall of Fame, also like it means anything. This week on Poetry for Promo, we examine the WWE experience of Ozzy Osbourne. And also, with a little bonus thrown in there, we step into the world of Zakk Wylde as well. It's worth a listen. Also, it's Ozzy's birthday coming up on Friday. I believe he's going to be 73 years old. So, check it out. Do the Ozman a favor. After you check it out, go listen to a whole bunch of his records as loud as possible.
Happy birthday to the Prince of... I don't know if we've used our swear word.
Darkness. I'll say it. I'll say it.
The floor is yours.
It's the Prince of fucking Darkness.
Beautiful.
I was nice all episode, so I could say that. I don't care.
Well, thank you for exercising your restraint on. I know that restraining curse words is certainly not within your nature, but I thank you for doing this on tonight's episode of Power Out. Wordsmith, thank you very much for joining us and previewing Hard Times 2 happening December 4th, this coming Saturday on NWA on Fight.
If I may.
Yes.
It's Hard Times. Hard Times 2. It's my hand. It's going to be touching your hand this week. No, I'm not going to do it, but it's Hard Times 2. Dusty Rhodes Tour 85. You love it.
Absolutely an iconic promo. It's nice to see NWA honor history by naming a whole pay-per-view after one of the legendary pay-per-views of pro wrestling history. My name is Zach. He was the Wordsmith. Once again, do not go anywhere. This stream will continue with the NXT reaction on NXT. It's going to be a blast with Ed and Astrid, and they're going to be with you right after the Wordsmith himself plays us out on this video that I'm trying to find. There it is. See you Saturday for NWA Hard Times reaction right here on Power Out.
Hard times, Daddy. Hard times.
Should probably put us in the room. I have too many buttons to press when I do this. I don't like it. Should unmute yourself. There we go. Yes, Tower Amazing. It is NXT time. And of course, it's a train wreck right up the gate where I don't have us on and everything else. Oh, it's just the way it always is. It's great. Oh. So we had a wonderful episode of NXT tonight. They did a really good job tonight of building to the pay-per-view. Like for Halloween Havoc, they didn't do a good job building to Halloween Havoc. It felt like they kind of left things off the line. But tonight it was like, look, if you don't have anything to do on Sunday, guess what? We're barely going to feature you. You're going to maybe a slip of the night, and that's about it. So it was great to see all of that. We have some friends jumping in. We already had Dar Amazing. We have our friend Sean Cena. And we have our friend Chris Parrish saying hello. Hello, Chris. You have always. Hey, guys. Great NXT. Yes, it was Choke Goat Gaming. It was a fantastic NXT tonight. And we're going to start off real quick. Astrid, go ahead, because I can already guess. You're going to talk about our opening segment, the women's ladder match for the advantage, aren't you?
I had to. It was so good. It was a great way to start like the whole show. Like I was expecting the NXT tonight to be kind of like Halloween Havoc, to be honest. So I was like kind of like low expectations already coming in, honestly. And then they just show the girls coming backstage, and I'm like, oh, this is just them, giving us a promo for the match later. It's like, no, it's happening now. And I'm like, this is opening. This is great and amazing as it is. So it's amazing that they open with the ladder match and they closed off with the ladder match. I really enjoy that. But I'm just like, I was so concentrated and so zoned in this match. I didn't even take notes for it because I was just like, what is this going to happen? It was really, really good. But one part that I had to point out was that spot with the steel steps on that KLR had. Oh, my word. And the way that Dakota was hanging from that ladder when KLR won, I was just like, holy crap. I want another match between these ladies. It was so good. And then having the girls backstage celebrating, I really love seeing Toxic Attraction disappointed as well, because I'm just thinking, they're probably thinking next time we should be one of us to ensure that we win. But overall, great start to the show as it is. Good way to hype up the crowd.
Yeah, and we had our friends Turnbuckle Talk and Connor, FIFA Connor 16 coming in and saying hi. Yeah, this was a great way to start. I also love the brawl to start. You had both teams lining up backstage, kind of behind the curtain kind of thing, with both teams just face to face to face, and they all start brawling, and it leads to the match. NXT's been so good about this great transitional thing. Like, nothing seems clunky. Nothing seems out of place. It doesn't seem like it's segment, then segment, then segment. Even though tonight kind of had some periods where it was like segment to segment to segment. But it all kind of flowed because everything was something to do with something on the show. And it really was great. And yes, Raquel lifting up Io was a little fun. I mean, Raquel and Io would have been so much better than Io and Zoe. I'm just saying. Like, could you imagine like the culture clash of like the Spanish in the Japanese? Oh my god, that would have been fantastic. And then the big and the little thing. Like, you have so many levels to play with Io and Raquel. That would have been so fun. But no, I mean, this match was that gory bomb, the KLR bomb, whatever you want to call it, the gory bomb on the table. She's done it the last couple weeks. God, that looks like it hurts. These girls killed it. And this is just a ladder match for the advantage. I mean, the Finn Balor stomp. She's at the top of the ladder. She's about to win. She does the Finn Balor stomp and then goes ahead and tries to go back up and still loses the match. Fantastic effort from both of them. Couldn't have picked anything better to start the show. Starts it out hot. Starts it out great. My thing isn't even a match because, yes, it led to the match earlier. Probably looked like it hurts because it does. Yeah, but it looks like it should kill you, and she still got up and won the match. But I mean, I'm going to go with the promos, the 2.0, or as I call them, the new school. The new school promos. These things were, 3 of the 4 of these were a thing of genius. And then there's Tony D'Angelo. I'm sorry, Tony. You were out tonight and tonight only. Tony was outclassed and outgunned in this promo segment. We have Sean Cena jumping in real quick. I was surprised Kayla was. I was too. I almost always say expect the heels to win matches like this because the heels should always have the advantage in a war games. It's weird when the baby faces have an advantage. They should always be working from behind. But that being said, we get to these promos, and it starts with we find out that Johnny Gargano is going to be the fan voted for the ladder match tonight, which is no big surprise. Johnny's got his 1-week extension. He works through Sunday, and then nobody knows what happens from there. I think he resigns. I don't think he's going anywhere. I don't think that this time next Wednesday or next, I don't think we're seeing him anywhere else on Wednesday. I really don't.
On Wednesday? Ooh.
I don't think we're seeing him on a Wednesday. We might see him on a Thursday coming up in the near future, but they tape their shows, so it'll be at least a month or so. But I mean, I could see him popping up on a Thursday. I don't see him fitting in, especially with the news tonight of Big Swole. And again, that's for a React show. But with Big Swole deciding that she's not going to continue, we're starting to see the Lego bricks fall from the AEW people who aren't getting the pushes that they were promised. So I'd be interested to see how it goes from here with that. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about NXT. I agree. I hope to see him stay on Tuesday nights. There are already too many faces on Wednesday. I agree. I would love to see him stay. There's no reason for him to leave unless he wants to do something different. And if he wants something different, all the best for Johnny on his way out. But we go ahead and we get this promo, and Aisha Taylor starts it, and she's talking to Carmelo Hayes, and he steals the mic and steals the show, talking about how he was, he's the A champion. It's his show. It doesn't matter about anything else. And then he says something that Grayson Waller picks up on, and Grayson Waller cuts in front of Braun Breaker and in front of everybody, and cuts an amazing promo, talking about handshakes and hot dogs, and that was the old way. I'm gonna go out and have a killer match and post about it on social media, because that's what you do as a sports entertainer in 2021. Breaking down the lines, the wrestlers versus the sports entertainers. And I'm interesting, LA Knight is on the wrestlers side, which is something I never would have picked in a million years. The other three fit perfectly. LA Knight's the weird oddball because you have to have somebody with Grayson Waller, and that's where he fits. But Waller cuts an amazing, getting better and better, by the way, by the week. This kid is just
and the shirt
up. I mean, the shirt's great. I mean, I can't remember.
I know, but the catchphrase on the shirt.
It's a dig at somebody. I just can't remember who. But yes, he has the Grayson Waller effect t-shirt on. Then Braun Breaker gets on the mic and calls out Tommaso Ciampa and calls out everybody else. And he talks about how Ciampa thinks he's funny for throwing in the math reference and for this and for that. And he calling him the dog, the little puppy and all that kind of stuff. But he's going to come and he's going to help them win the match on Sunday. And then he's coming for Ciampa. And then Tony starts talking about gold, which he doesn't have any of except for his jewelry. And he talks about Petey Poppins. And I'm like, okay, sure. We just had 3 killer promos and that's the best you got for me.
He should have started it, to be honest, and just go off that way.
Yeah, because we start with this hot Carmelo Hayes promo, then we get the really fire promo from Waller, and then Braun Breaker's just super into his stuff. And then Tony he can't live up to the hype that's been built. But then Johnny Gargano comes out, and we get one of my favorite lines of the entire night, and I posted it in the chat before the show. And I'm going to read Zach's response because I love it. But anyways, Johnny Gargano comes out and he's talking about Braun Breaker because we find out that Braun Breaker is the one who is chosen to take on Johnny Gargano by the fans. No real surprise here. He's the only babyface on this team. So other than maybe Carmelo Hayes, there was never going to be anybody other than Braun Breaker in this match. But we get Johnny Gargano versus Braun Breaker. And then he comes out with the line of the night. The big bad booty nephew. Oh, boy. The response the response to this when I asked if Zach wanted to rant on this was, oh, God, just call him Rex Steiner. What did you think of this promo segment?
Yeah, I'm like, at first I was trying to put in my notes what everybody was saying, and to be honest, all my notes were new school in the ring, because I was like, that's all I'm calling them from now. They're just sticking to new school. But yeah, I loved that. Like I told you, I feel like Tony should have started it and just gone up from there, because I feel like it was like weak-ish for him. and then going up from there. But I love everybody. I like how they all connected to the reason why they're in the match, while also targeting their opponent or their certain opponent, basically, in this feud. And I'm like, I loved it. I was not expecting to love it. I thought it was gonna end up in a mess, and then I heard it, and I'm like, that was not bad. I wouldn't mind seeing something like this.
By the way, this faction looks fantastic together too. Just saying, the 5 of these guys together, like, they don't fit in any way, shape, or form, but they all feel like they have a common goal and a common denominator. And it's 4 individuals coming together. Like, you could say it's just a thrown together team, and it kind of is. But the feuds that they have going into the match make them come out of it looking that much better. Because it's not just 4 guys. It's 3 well-built feuds, and Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo, which, by the way, I think will continue once this is over. I think that program will continue. Most of these programs, with the exception of Johnny Gargano and Carmelo Hayes, will probably continue. This leads to our main event match, which was Johnny Gargano versus Braun Breaker, which was a fine match. It was a good ladder match. It wasn't anything fantastic. It didn't eclipse the women's match, but it was a really good, solid ladder match. It made Braun Breaker look like an absolute stud and a star. Johnny Gargano sold for him and got all his Johnny Gargano stuff in. Braun Breaker flipping him the middle finger as Johnny's getting ready to set up for the meet in the middle super kick that he does now. And then still super kicking him anyways after Braun stands up. Just sheer gold. And yes, Braun Breaker wins. New School comes out to celebrate with Braun Breaker. And then Tommaso Ciampa says, Daddy says, screw it. And he runs in the ring, and we get the brawl to end the show. Typical, but fine. You did a brawl in the beginning, which made a lot of sense because you had everybody face to face. And then this time, a little more forced, but okay, cool. Whatever, we're building to Sunday. You've only had a week plus to build it. We'll let it slide. What do you think of the main event match?
Yeah, I like you mentioned, I feel like it highlighted Braun more than anything and how strong he is, and how that Frankensteiner, it looked badass though. And I like the part where he had Gargano on top of the ladder and he was trying to throw him out. Like those little spots here and there. It was more of like Gargano's way of having Braun be like, this is the next person. Look at him, and highlighting him. And not only as strong, but like the moves that he did, or even as a strong and like big guy. I'm like, I feel like it's probably my favorite Braun Breaker match, to be honest, at this point. So I'm like, we'll see what War Games, but so far it's been my favorite one because I feel like it definitely did a good way of showcasing him more than anything.
I mean, you're also in there with, no offense to being in there with Daddy Ciampa or being in there with LA Knight or any of these other people, but like, this is Johnny Gargano. There's a reason why Johnny Gargano has the most 5-star matches in NXT history. He has 2 of them. I want to say he may have 3, but I know he has at least 2 of them. Like, there's a reason why that guy has those matches like that. He can bring the best out of anybody, and Braun Breaker's not a nobody. I mean, we'll talk about a couple of nobodies as we go through the show, but we get a lot of good stuff throughout this match. We're going to do a quick War Games rundown of the card because I have it right here on my notes. We got Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes, hair versus hair. Yes, Connor, Johnny Gargano is a class act. He's doing all of the business on the way out, and I think he's the one being pinned come Sunday night. I think he's taking the loss. If he's not staying, he's absolutely being pinned on Sunday night. And I think he's being pinned by Tony D'Angelo, to be perfectly honest with you. That would be such an NXT things to do. I can talk to you about a watch along. I know there will be a watch along featuring me. Whether or not it's on the Love Wrestling channels, however, will be a different story. But we can talk about that on our own, Irish. But we will have a post show featuring, hopefully, all 3 members of the NXT team reunited, and it will feel so good if we are. I think to Grayson Waller, interesting. Anybody could get it. I just think like Tony's been the one kind of forgotten about here, and it'd be nice if you're gonna pin Gargano, maybe Tony could use it the most, just to give him that next up. but we'll get there. So we have Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes, hair versus hair. Joe Gacy versus Roderick Strong for the Cruiserweight Championship. Kyle O'Reilly and Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner versus Imperium. Toxic Attraction and Dakota versus Raquel, Io, Cora, and KLR. And then 2.0 versus Black and Gold. This is going to be a fantastic... We'll talk about it later. I promise. I want to see the Hudson Grimes match, one wrestler while the other one for the barber chair. I don't know if we're going to get a barber chair like we used to get in the old school, like Attitude Era WWE. I'll be interested to see what they do with the NXT, with the CWC when it comes to that. But we're going to go ahead and jump to the beginning of the show. So we had the Women's War Games match, and it was fantastic. Post-match, we had the promos for Grimes versus Chase, Andre Chase. All the stuff we saw last week with Grimes laying out the hair versus hair challenge, and then, you know, him being bullied backstage by Andre Chase, and, you know, him telling Andre Chase to go to hell. And then Andre Chase cut a promo on Twitter, and they go ahead and play that for us. When we come back from the break...
Your favorite part of the night.
This makes me sad. This makes me sad. So we get the promo segment with GYV backstage, and they're attempting to break into JBBJ's locker. And they tell him to...
Genius.
And so, yeah. And Zach Gibson tells James Drake to watch out so that he can break into the locker. And Ika Manjiro walks up. And Ika Manjiro is very loud. So James Drake keeps shushing him. So Ika Manjiro keeps shushing back. And it's at this point that I rolled my eyes and went, oh, God. But I thought it couldn't get worse than this, right? Like, this is going to be, you know, the whole time I'm watching. Yes. Did somebody say?
I was going to say that, but I didn't want to interrupt.
I'm just going to leave this comment up for the most of this promo. So I thought, well, it can't get worse than this. It's just got Ika Manjiro there, and he's just going to keep, and the three of them keep shushing each other. And then Kushida shows up. And I'm like, oh, God. And now the four of them are shushing. And Zach Gibson turns around and goes, what's going on? And then they all shush Zach Gibson. And I'm like, no. How have GYV fallen so far? How is this what you think is the best thing for GYV? They are one of the most talented. That's a really good pun. I wish I would have thought of. Damn, that's a really good pun. Yeah, shush. Anyways, the GYV has fallen so far, and I don't know. There's so much good going on with the tag team division.
I wonder whose idea it was, to be honest.
I could half see this being Zach Gibson's idea. That's the sad part. It's like I can see Gibson and Drake thinking that this is funny, and them wanting to like further themselves, like because this doesn't seem like a Shawn Michaels or a Triple H thing. Like it doesn't seem like something that they would write.
Yeah. That's why. That's what the question came to my mind, because I'm thinking Shawn Michaels and Triple H wouldn't do something like this.
Yes,
I like how everybody's shushing you, but not me. Sure, guys.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm the one talking, so. We got our friend Don Lewis. Good evening to you as well. We had Carl from the from the Turnbuckle Talk comments earlier, so welcome to see you as well, Bubba Duke. Hope all is well with you. Plug
no,
for
Astrid
asks. Is there anything more that we need? Is there anything more that we need to say about this terrible segment?
Yeah, shh. That's it.
All right. We then get. Did somebody say Andre Chase versus Cameron Grimes? This was fun. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel like it was too quick for me. I feel like having a fun match between these two, I feel like I would have like lasted longer. But yeah, just like obviously it was just like a way to keep like Grimes out there while Hudson comes in the ego's nest, as you call it. So yeah, just like it was somewhere just like to have him have some kind of momentum before I guess the show. But
yeah, I mean it was definitely an interesting segment. I did love that it ended with Duke Hudson having these terrible 2K renders of what he might have Cameron Grimes look like if Cameron Grimes loses, only to settle on shaving his whole head, which we knew was what was going to be the inevitable one in the end. Yeah, the match was quick, but that's all it needs to be. Andre Chase isn't going to be somebody who's going to get a 20-minute match. Andre Chase is going to get 5 minutes and make somebody look fantastic. And by the way, he does that again. I will say it every week. He reminds me so much of Heath Slater. He goes out there and makes the star look like $1 million, does everything he needs to do, gets his stuff in. And by the way, there were a couple more Andre Chase actual t-shirts in the crowd, including the one on the hard cam. He is picking up some fans in this crowd, and I love it.
But I like how he pointing at them during the match too, like, "Hey, they're over there." They had to put the camera on them because they couldn't miss them either. And I was like, that was perfect. Yes, that's what you should do.
This did have me saying, "Oh no," at one point, and I did say, "Don't you dare!" as I saw Cameron Grimes throw Andre Chase back in the ring and go and get the clippers from underneath the ring. I was like, "Don't you dare cut his hair! Don't you dare ruin the perfection that is Andre Chase."
But it's me, but my Grimes looks better with a haircut like this, though, than what he had with his long hair.
Grimes looks fantastic. Like a new man.
Right?
Absolutely, absolutely fantastic. And I can't wait for the new sponsorship with Cameron Grimes. I can't wait. We'll talk about that another day. Anyways, we move on and we get a promo from somebody new. We get Idris Enofe's promo. And Idris Enofe is taking on Solo Sikoa later on in the evening. And he cuts a really cool promo talking about how he was in the military and how he comes from the streets and how he fought alone just like Solo Sikoa did. And they're not that different. And he went into the military and he served his time and he did his duty. And he came out and the military told him, "All right, well, that's about all you're going to do in this life. There's nothing else for you outside of this." And I like that. Like, he's giving us a reason to want to like him. And I'm like, that's a lot of reasons to like a guy who's about to get crushed by Solo Sikoa. But he didn't. And that was nice. What did you think of Idris Enofe?
Yeah, I feel like it was at least I like how this time around they did the video package before the match, not like giving us the match and then the video package the next week. So that I like the timing of that at least. Which I'm like, good. It's not an unknown person as we had it since the beginning of NXT, but NXT 2.0 to be exact. But yeah, just like I was expecting the match to be over like that, and I expected him to lose as well. So maybe I'm like, for the next one when I see the promo, I should think like that'll last a little bit longer than the usual ones.
Yeah. And Sean brings us a great question. Is Cameron Grimes someone you think who can be successful on the main roster? Ashley, you can go first on this one.
That's a tougher because I want him to be, but do I see him? Probably not. I probably see him chasing the 24/7 championship the week after his debut, unfortunately.
See, here's the thing. I think he's somebody that Vince will find funny. And sometimes all you need to do is have some kind of a connection with Vince. I mean, hell, we saw it with a certain individual who unfortunately just got released, but should have been gone a while ago, who nobody wanted to see on television, but because him and Vince had similar views, he kept getting a push to try to be on television. You know, we're speaking of Jackson Riker. So, like, if you can get in with Vince, you can be successful on the main roster. I could see Vince loving Cameron Grimes. And I could also see Cameron Grimes pitching stuff to do that's fun. Now, will it all end like Jake Maverick? Maybe. But he could end up more like R-Truth. And people criticize R-Truth because he's a 24/7 division now. But you gotta remember, the guy's been around for like 20 years. And he had a world championship match with John Cena that was well built. And a credible chance where he almost won the world championship from John Cena while talking to an imaginary child named Little Jimmy. So, yes, I think Cameron Grimes can have success because we've seen R-Truth have success on the main roster.
I mean, the good thing is like we're seeing our truth every single week, at least on Raw somehow, whether it's in the ring or backstage.
Paris jumping in saying Grimes versus Jeff Hardy. I could see that. That would be fun. I think Cameron Grimes can be successful. You can book him in a millionaire that Vince likes to do comedy. Yeah, you could book him as the millionaire with Vince. Like, there are so many funny things that you can do with Cameron Grimes. He has every opportunity to be successful, and he's got the skills to back it up. Hopefully it was a good finale. I'm not a horror fan, as we all know. So I turn off NXT as soon as I see the Chucky graphic, because Chucky still scares the bejesus out of me. But Ecto Guy, glad to have you here. We then got the New School 2.0 promo. We then got a backstage promo with Legado del Fantasma. Nothing great, nothing fantastic, but a nice promo by LDF. I liked how it featured Joaquin Wilde and Raul Mendoza.
Mm-hmm.
Those.
Dang.
Somebody's getting timed out on Tom's stream next week. Anyways, no, but LDF, I like how it's making Mendoza and Wilde feel like a big deal. I always love Mendoza, like Joaquin Wilde and all of his funny and different. I'm not even looking at the comments now.
Yes,
Joaquin Wilde and all his different entrance attires and stuff like that. He had the Matador shoulder pads on today, and he looks fantastic. He has the great entrance masks that look great. It's so much fun. People not happy that I'm not looking at. What is the bejesus? Hopefully keep them in there. Anyways, we then got the MSK promo where they finally arrived at the Shaman. Meanwhile, their GPS is calling Nash Carter a dummy and telling him his left from his right, which my GPS doesn't do. So I kind of want their GPS. But they finally get there. They open the door. We see something glittery and shiny on the other side, and then we get nothing. Oh, knock my camera. They blue balls us. I didn't like it. Astrid, your thoughts on? By the way, I just want to mention this before I go to you, because I'm hoping you'll mention it. Zion Quinn is fantastic. Yeah. Listen to Alex. Don't derail the show.
Yes, thank you.
Anyways,
I'm gonna leave this here. Can I leave this here so you can concentrate? Okay,
that's fine.
Okay.
I do love the fact that NXT called out their own BS for the second time in as many weeks by saying this was great, but it would have been better if you hadn't wasted 5 weeks doing it.
Oh my goodness!
Which is fantastic that they're calling out their own crap. Okay, now we'll let you talk about this segment and all the segments leading into it, and then end with who do you actually think the Shaman is?
At this point, I feel like my guesses are just crap. After I don't want anybody but Morrison, so just like it's not gonna work out for me, whoever it is probably. And the next week we see them, I'm just gonna be like, never mind. So I don't know, but just like why 5 weeks just to reveal nobody so far? I don't know. And then how are they supposed to help MSK, because we haven't seen them wrestling ever since these promos have started either. So I'm just like, what is this leading to? Because that's the part I'm curious about. And yeah, I thought it was gonna happen tonight, to be honest, because I'm like, finally they have time to do it, and that's why I knew you were ahead of me. That's why I told you don't spoil it. And then I wait and I wait and I wait, and I'm like, that was it. It's so disappointing. I'm like, I feel like MSK finally got the crowd going for them, and they just have him do this stuff. So just like, I don't know how that's gonna work out for them when they wrestle again. So just like, I don't know.
Do you think we get the reveal of the Shaman at War Games? Sean Cena asks.
They should at this point. That's the least they could do.
Dara Amazing thinks it might be the Hurricane. It's possible. So I have another oddball theory. We saw Bright and Shiny today, and I led us down the wrong garden path when I mentioned Morrison, and it made us all sad when he got released a week and a half later. What if it's The Miz? Same idea, same tag team lineage. The Miz is famed in WWE's own history, their own version of history, not legitimate history, but their own version of history as being, you know, a famed tag team specialist. What if it's The Miz? I would love if the Shaman was the third member of MSK of the Rascals. Unfortunately, Trey Miguel is the current X Division champion in Impact, and I don't think that Forbidden Door is open just yet. I would love it if it's Trey Miguel, but with the bad blood he has for the company when he didn't sign, and when Triple H was asked, and he kind of pooped on him for no reason by saying he didn't want it enough and he didn't have enough drive to come here and things like that. I don't think it's going to be him. I would love it. I thought originally it might be as a way to introduce him. Then I remembered he's the current X Division champion. That's probably not going to happen. But who knows? It would be great if it did. And then Connor coming in with what's most likely going to be the answer, which is Michael Hayes.
I'm like, it's not Morrison. I'm disappointed at this point.
Yeah. Maybe Triple H. Maybe he did. But again, it's going to take an awful lot of money to get a guy who's a current champion in Impact to come and do this spot. That's the only problem I have with that idea. Like I said, it makes perfect sense if it's him. But I don't know if they have the money that they can throw at Impact and if Impact would be willing to work with them. Only time will tell. And maybe it is the first sign of the Forbidden Door falling down in WWE. We then get Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner versus Legado del Fantasma. And this was a fun match. Oh. Yeah. I missed it. I did. Not nice. Anyways. Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly versus Legado del Fantasma. Talk about the wonders that is this match.
I didn't know how I feel about it, to be honest. Probably like the match that made me feel like about tonight. This is the part that interested me the most, probably the ending though, having the way Vaughn like rescued Kyle O'Reilly from the match, and then having Zion come out and then have his moment with Elektra, only for the connection to be broken seconds later. I feel like I was more interested in that part than what was actually happening in the ring for that moment until the finish, and that was it. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with you. The match, I like the match. Von Wagner is getting better and better in the ring. He really looks good with Legado del Fantasma, believe it or not. Like, Wild and Mendoza really make him look interesting, and like he sells well for them and they sell for him, and he looks like a man among boys with them in there. They do some fun things with him. Like, he's not your typical big, stocky, big guy who can't like fall down and work and do all the fun stuff. Like with these guys, he really does a good job selling for them. But I loved, like you said, we'll talk about it here, the interesting ending. He gets lured into the ring by Raul Mendoza, and they go to do a bunch of tag team stuff. And right as they're about to bounce off the ropes to go ahead and hit a big move, he jumps out and grabs the top rope while he's still being yelled at by the referee, so that Wild falls out to the outside and takes a tumble. He then rolls to the outside, gets the tag, and they hit the high-low finish that Red Dragon used to always use. Loved it. It makes perfect sense. It makes them look smart, because this is something that I always think of in tag team wrestling. I'm like, why don't you just grab the rope? Like, you're right there. Just do it. It's fun to see them do it. Legado del Fantasma loses nothing in this. They're still a wonderful tag team in a remarkably deep tag team division in NXT 2.0, by the way. Shockingly deep, to be perfectly honest. But yes, the main story of this portion was midway through the match, Zion Quinn comes down and he's eyeing Elektra Lopez the whole time. And they end up having him come around the ring, and he's got the eyes to eyes with the La Madrina. and Wade calls it lust, and then all of a sudden he breaks it and he punches Santos Escobar as he tries to sneak up on him, and the three of them go off, and we'll hear more about that later in the show. We then got a backstage segment with Imperium getting ready to talk about what they thought about Von Wagner and Kyle O'Reilly before Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner come in and go ahead and spout some nonsense about them being better and them being smarter and them gonna win. And I'm just like, great. So Imperium's winning. Cool. I mean, I already thought they were gonna win. I didn't really matter who they were facing, but I definitely know it now based on the promos that there's no way Imperium drops these titles. We then get one of the most interesting and thought-provoking, and I never thought I'd say that with a Joe Gacy segment, thought-provoking segments of the night. We have another question from Sean Cena. Do we think War Games will be Kyle's last match in NXT? No. Kyle has a contract still for a little while. He's in a tag team right now. If they were leading to the end of Kyle O'Reilly, I think if it's going to be anytime soon, it'll end with Von Wagner probably pinning him. Based on where they are now, that's my thought process. Astrid, yeah. But I don't think War Games is the end. Like, I mean, I don't know what his contract is like, so it's all dependent on contracts. But you know, it's not as apparent as Johnny Gargano's. Like, we know he signed a 1-week extension to do the show. He could take 3 months off and then come back after Candice gives birth. Like, Johnny Gargano has a lot of ideas out there. Like, there's so many things he could do that he could afford to take time off and just re-sign. But we'll see what happens when it comes. But we have the Joe Gacy Inclusive Invitational. And he talks about how the Cruiserweight title has been exclusive for so long and all about weight limits and, you know, weight shaming. And he says, I've brought 3 examples of what the new Cruiserweight division is going to look like when I'm the champion. And he brought out a really small, tiny, short guy. And he brought out a lovely young woman. And he brought out a bigger dude who I initially almost thought was Odyssey Jones until I looked at him for another 5 seconds and realized it definitely wasn't Odyssey Jones. And he talks about how in his Cruiserweight division, once he wins, there are going to be no size limits. There are going to be no gender discrimination, and that there's not going to be any body shaming and weight shaming with this division. Is Joe Gacy telling us we're going to get WWE's first intergender championship? I mean, we have the 24/7 title, and let's not get it twisted. That's an intergender championship, but that's a roll-up, and nobody gives a crap. Are we really getting the first intergender championship? And everybody else, you know, coming in with that segment. Me too. What did you think when you saw that he was about to wrestle this lovely young woman, and then Diamond Mine came down? Because I was unhappy.
Yeah, I felt weird because at first I thought they were gonna be like a handicap match, and she was like the valet sort of thing for them. And then I thought, like, they don't seem like to really know each other because they were separated a little bit. They were not even that close. And I was like, let me just wait and see what he says. And with the promo, I was like, okay, I get that. And then when he makes it seem like he's gonna face her, I'm like, is this really gonna happen on WTV? Because that's not a thing here. So I'm like waiting for it. I'm like, or something's gonna happen in 5, 4, 3, 2. Okay, there it goes. And I'm like, yeah, not gonna happen for sure. But I thought it was interesting that he brought up that point because I feel like it's something that WWE hasn't really done. So it'll be interesting to see if they do it and how they play it out, because it's still, even to this day, they don't want that to happen in WWE. And they make it seem it's like a girl slapping a guy, but the guy doesn't respond to it. So just like, especially in NXT, are we gonna get something like this? So like, I don't know how I feel about it, to be honest. I'm just like, we'll wait. This is one of those wait and see kind of situations for me. And it's a rare one. But
so the rumor and innuendo on this has always been that that Mattel doesn't like intergender wrestling, and that they don't want to see, and Mattel makes all the action figures. And it's one of those situations where they call the shots and how they don't want to see men facing women. But we've seen them kind of trying to broach this line a lot over the past. James Ellsworth has famously faced both Asuka and Becky Lynch.
Yeah, Baron and Becky in that match.
Baron and Becky when she got the end of days. You know, there's been a lot of movements towards an intergender wrestling match. Now, while this one particular match didn't super interest me because I have no idea who she is, it made me think and made me want Ivy Nile versus Joe Gacy. Because I think that could be an interesting place for this to go. And, you know, Dar Amazing says, man, I wished we got intergender wrestling. I think we're headed there. I don't want to promise it, but I like how they're bringing it up. They're trying to broach the subject to see how fans react. So let's watch Twitter over the next 24 to 48 hours and see the reaction. Because if Gacy wins on Sunday, the next 24 to 48 hours might tell us whether or not that ends up in a feud. Because I would dig so hard, Ivy Nile versus Joe Gacy.
Yeah, I feel like it's interesting because we have people like Mia Yim who has a history of wrestling with the guys, and obviously they've released her, and then we got Candace who has a big long history wrestling a lot of boys, and too bad she's pregnant, so we can't get any of that either. So just like, aside from Ivy, I don't know who are the ladies I would see wrestling like any other guys like that. So just like it'll be interesting to see how it works out between.
Don't you dare, Connor.
Like this. Oh my word. I think Eddie wouldn't know who to pick to win.
Oh, it would. It'd be Mandy Rose. It'd be Mandy Rose in a heartbeat. Joe Gacy's terrible. I love to root against Joe Gacy, but he's got the most thought-provoking things going on right now. Like this whole subject of like we're talking about intergender wrestling because he literally did a segment where he was like, "Yeah, I'll let women wrestle for men's titles," and I'm like, that could be fun. Like. You don't have to do a bunch of those matches. You don't have to do them often. But like Joe Gacy versus Persia Perota, Joe Gacy versus Raquel Gonzalez. Like if she was still down here, Rhea Ripley versus Joe Gacy. Like there is some really, exactly. Dar Amazing says it, you know, Joe Gacy versus Tamina. Like we joke about nobody's meaner than Tamina, but like that would be a fun match. Like, intergender wrestling has its place. Is it my favorite thing in the world to watch? No. I don't like watching women getting beaten up, especially from men. And I learned that very quick from watching somebody ill-advised told me to go seek out a tag team match that featured on one side Minoru Suzuki and on the other side Asuka. So I seeked out the Japan independent match that featured the two of them in it. And I was very, very, very turned off from intergender wrestling for a while because he beat the ever-living crap out of her. I feel like it takes some sort of people to do it because I feel like the chemistry, it's very, very different in intergender matches. So just like it's one of those things you have to be very, very like careful about, I would say. Yeah, and I would love to. Yes, but have you ever watched Minoru Suzuki beat the hell out of Asuka? Because Minoru Suzuki doesn't think wrestling's fake. And if you think I'm wrong, watch Minoru Suzuki more often and you'll find out. There's a reason why they call him the murder grandpa for a reason. Like, back me up on this. Murder grandpa is murder grandpa for a reason.
Yeah, of course. I just like, I'm kind of curious, but I'm not going to search it.
No, I honestly, I can't even find the match on YouTube anymore. Like, that's how far gone it's been. I can't even find the match on YouTube. His own tag team partner trying to explain to him that he has to stop. This poor little girl trying to explain to Minoru Suzuki that he has. No, he cares none of it. We then get Diamond Mind. Yeah. So here's the thing. Ed seems very passionate about this. Let's break this down. Again, we're going to derail the show a little bit and talk about intergender wrestling as a whole.
On brand. Go on.
Independent wrestling is built on intergender wrestling. If you've ever been to your local indie show, there is intergender wrestling on it. And it can be great if the story in the match is told correctly. There is no reason why you can't do intergender wrestling. The WWE and most companies in the mainstream lean away from doing intergender wrestling because of the fact that it's problematic in this day and age. But it tells a very great story. And if anybody wants to see a fantastic story told for intergender wrestling, as problematic as she is now, Tessa Blanchard versus Sami Callihan, Tessa Blanchard versus Brian Cage, all of the Impact stuff she did around her world championship run is absolutely fantastic. And it's a great reason why intergender wrestling should be brought back to the mainstream. Not everywhere, not for every match, but it plays a part and it plays a thing. Candice LeRae got on so many people's radars by being part of the world's cutest tag team. Now, granted, he's filth and he should never be brought up again, but it got her to the prominence that she's at by being part of that intergender match and tag team. And it's something that, yeah, I'm a little passionate about because I think it's a missing part of wrestling that almost nobody wants to touch anymore. I mean, you don't see intergender wrestling much on AEW, if at all. New Japan doesn't even
GCW,
have...
if anything.
Yeah, GCW, but again, independent wrestling. Like, we all want to call GCW mainstream, but it's not. It's still independent. They don't have a TV deal. Like, the only one who does it is Impact. And even they very rarely do it because it's hard to tell a great story. So I'm excited to see what happens if Gacy wins. Do they deliver on this promise of potentially having intergender wrestling for a brand new championship? Okay, now intergender tag match meaning mixed tag, or intergender tag meaning the men wrestle the men and the women, and vice versa. That's the difference between intergender and mixed tag, because WWE's done tons of mixed tags. But it's that middle ground between the two. And I'm sure that they did an intergender, like I said. But even then, it's 2 years in the company. They've done it once on the most progressive company on mainstream television. So, like I said, intergender wrestling has a place, but I am passionate about bringing that back and trying it out and telling interesting stories, because I think there are matches that work. Like, would it work watching, Cora Jade wrestle Odyssey Jones? No, that match isn't going to be believable. There's no match in the world that can do that. And okay, they fought it was Omega and Rio versus Penelope and Kip. All right, that makes sense. So there we go. But yeah, like it all depends on the storyline you tell. Like, like I said, Cora Jade versus, Odyssey Jones isn't a believable match. But Ivy Nile versus Joe Gacy? All right, you're more in the wheelhouse now. It's all about how you tell the story. And honestly, if you ask a lot of female wrestlers, they're gonna tell you that they some of them don't hate it. Because I was listening to the Goose Call because I was doing backstage production for it, and we had Gigi Ray. And if you haven't followed her, go and take a look at her. She's very, very interesting young wrestler who was just wrestling with Reality of Wrestling, and she talked about it and how she talked about how the men can base so many more moves for her than some of the women can, because some of the women aren't strong enough in their core and in their legs and their backs to be able to set up the moves that she wants to do. Whereas a lot more men are able to have that strength, and you can do a lot more innovative and interesting things. So it's a very interesting stuff. And I kind of want to see what happens and where it goes. Yes, they're going to definitely have to rebrand it if Gacy's going to make changes. And I think they want to. Like, I think that regardless of everything, we're going to see size limit and weight limits taken away from the Cruiserweight title, because 205 Live is going to be renamed something else soon, if not dropped at all. I don't like the equality title. It's probably the top contender, but I don't like it. And they're amazing. A lot of people agree with you. I don't see the intergender stuff if Casey wins. I don't see it happening either, but I'm glad that they're having the discussion. They're bringing it out there for a reason. Vince is very big on, we don't promise things we can't deliver. And if Vince is bringing it up, there's a chance it could happen. We continue on from this. We get a Solo Sikoa promo where he understands where Idris Unufa is coming from, but says that it's not going to matter before he's interrupted by Boa spouting absolute nonsense. And he just says, you know what? You have the time. And Sikoa walks away. We then had the match with Solo Sikoa versus Idris Unufa. What did you think of this match? It didn't take very long.
No, I honestly thought it was going to be quicker than what it was, so to be honest. But yeah, I thought it was interesting that at least with him, we got that video package. We got introduced to him as a character. So at least he looks like he's going to be there, like at least on a weekly basis compared to, like, for example, things Malik, the other one that's been more like there as an enhancement talent sort of thing. So we haven't been like introduced to him officially. So I thought it was interesting, especially the ending of having both of them like Solo like help him get up and just like look at him, but he was still kind of like celebrating that he won. So I thought that was interesting going forward. It's like, are they gonna team up against Boa, or how does that work? Or are they gonna take turns on Boa and then somebody else joins Boa? Because I'm like, obviously it's gonna be not equal. So we'll see how it goes from that part. But yeah, I like the match though overall. I feel like Solo got more. Like, he had to show himself a little bit more in this match, which I really liked. And I felt like the crowd was so behind him during this match as well. I feel like compared to the other ones, that was a lot louder this time around. So it made me enjoy it even more, because I'm like, I could hear the excitement for him, and I really enjoy that. But overall, yeah, it was a good match.
Yeah, I'm really digging Solo Sikoa and everything about him. They're building a fantastic package around him with the Island Warrior and, you know, the walking alone, you know, like Parrish says, cue the Batista music and stuff like that. But they're really building this, the solo part of Solo Sikoa. But he's his own thing. Like, it's so great that he looks like an Uso. He talks like an Uso. But he's not in any way, shape, or form an Uso other than the splash. And he has all the island moves, but that's all that really brings him into that story. Like, they're being like, no, he's somebody completely different. They all left him behind. They all went away. They left him on the island. Now, granted, he grew up in Houston, Texas, but they left him on the island and he was by himself. I really enjoy it though. Solo Sikoa is fun. They're really trying with Boa. I'll give them all the credit in the world. They're really trying. Hopefully something comes of this. We then got a promo package with Indy Hartwell and Persia Perota, where Indy gets a phone call from the hospital. Dexter's missing. I wonder if Dexter's going to show up at War Games. He'll be there. If for nothing else, they're going to do a goodbye. Something's going to happen post-match, I think, for Gargano and Loomis. But Indy's in no way, shape, or form to have this match. And Persia goes, am I going to have to do what I did 2 weeks ago all over again? She seems really, really starting to get pissed off with Indy Hartwell about everything going on with Dexter. And I don't mind a heel turn from her. I think that they still need them as a tag team. But I wouldn't mind Persia being heel and Indy being face and them still being a team. As long as Robert Stone's nowhere near. By the way, Robert Stone was out there for the Solo Sikoa versus Idris Unufa match, to which Astrid said in our chat, get away, Robert Stone, get away. By the way, did you happen to notice something back in the background of the indie segment after they walked away?
First of all, how dare you? They started this with the index promo package. This is how it all started first, before the thing. Yes. I love how they did that, though. Thank you very much. And then we got to them backstage. But it's just like, yeah, I could see the frustration in Persia's facial expressions, which I liked. How she was showing it in her face there. And then just like I'm looking in the back, and when they kind of turn a little, I'm like, I know I see somebody back there, but I'm like, who is it? And then I see Karen Q, which made me go back and think, like, I took a screenshot just so I could see it later. But it made me go back to, like, I think it's like a week or two ago when GYV was with the tag team titles with Toxic Attraction backstage. And I noticed everybody in the chat telling you, is there somebody laying down there? I feel like there's somebody laying on that couch on the other side, but they never went too close for you to figure out if it was somebody. At least this time around, it was a little bit closer. You could see Karen's face, but it's just like, what is going on? No idea.
And for those of you wondering who Karen Q is and not heard it, this would be the now former Mei Ying, Karen Q, sitting there in her fuzzy cutie pajamas, falling asleep in all these random
places.
If
I get paid to sleep on a couch, sign me up. I would do it for a couple of weeks.
Oh, Connor says no, it wasn't Karen Q, it was him. He had a long day. I mean, it's fun. I mean, they're trying something different with Karen Q. Great. She's a fantastic wrestler. I hope she gets a gimmick that she can really dig her teeth into. I'm not going to call her that yet because I know that I know that they I don't want to call her that. I don't want to call her that. You know what he's talking about, right? That is the new name that WWE trademarked.
Oh no! Oh no!
Expected for Karen Q.
Nope.
Yeah. That's
from a name generator.
I think that's from the random name generator. I'm almost certain that's the new name. I know she got one. I forget exactly what it is. I'm almost certain that might be it. It's awful. We then got the end of the Zion Quinn Electra stuff from tonight, where La Madrina comes up to Zion Quinn backstage while he's outside, and she tells him that she wishes that it didn't have to be like this between them, that she really likes him, and she's touching him on the shoulder. But good luck in his match next week with Santos Escobar, which made me very happy because he's going to need it. And then she walks away. Zion Quinn versus Santos Escobar. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that forbidden love trope.
Do you think she's going to turn her back on Santos for Zion Quinn at the end of all this?
I don't want her to, but then I do at the same time. I hope that makes sense. Because I like her with Legado, but at the same time, I think it'll be interesting with her in Zion. So I'm just like, I don't know which one I want more.
I don't think that's true. If we've learned anything from 2.0, it's don't count out these 2.0 youngsters. I know Santos is still young-ish and still probably considered the 2.0 brand, but I don't necessarily know that Zion's going to lose that match. Santos can take a big L in that match and not hurt his stock at all one bit and still go. He still has a feud with Carmelo Hayes coming, by the way. I don't know how you turn one of them face for that. But there's still a feud between him and Carmelo coming, I would imagine. But then we get Indy and Persia beating a team of ladies who I didn't write down their names.
So it was Valentina Feroz and Julissa Leon. You're welcome.
Okay. They didn't do much. They beat up Indy a little bit because Indy was not paying attention to much. And then Persia got the tag, and Persia absolutely wrecked house. Good for Persia. She looks fantastic. She's doing big things. But I'm sick of this.
I like to point out, like, Indy's facial expressions were something else that sold me in this match too. Like, it had, like, I liked seeing her like that, and then seeing not only Persia, like, I'm tagging in and I'm winning this for us, and the way, like, her demeanor after the match in Indies, that was very well done by them.
Yeah, there's definitely some things going on there. Indy is showing her range as a character with all this Dexter Lumis stuff, which I think is fantastic. And it's giving Persia a chance to stand on her own 2 feet and make herself a star in a time period where Indy Hartwell should probably be a star. So I like it for Persia. It's getting her on our radar. It's introducing us to who she is. I worry that they're beating a dead horse, and that there needs to be a decision made one way or the other. Like, I don't want to keep seeing them against either jobbers or teams that they can beat. I want them against, like Casey and Casey the other week, where, they lose the match because Indy's not in it. Like, I want to see more stuff like that. Sean Cena asks, Indy and Persia's NXT Women's Tag Team Champions. Maybe. I don't think those titles are going anywhere anytime soon. So I think any of the teams that have a chance to win it are teams that need to be together for the next 3 to 4 months. Because I think that if you're going to tell the Toxic Attraction story, they need to hold all the gold for as long as possible. Yeah. Not Undisputed Era long, but at least a takeover cycle kind of thing. 3 to 4 months would be good. I don't see any of them losing their belts until Mania weekend. That would be the earliest I see any of TA. What about you?
Yeah, same. I don't see them after all the hype with them. I don't see them losing so quickly. Because just like, what's the point if they lose that quickly, though?
Yeah. And pulling out a couple other ones, we got. If this were the main roster, you'd be getting Legado del Fantasma versus Zion and Kyle and Von Wagner. Yeah, maybe, but I like how they're telling the story differently. NXT does a really good job of mixing their storylines, and and even if that 6-man match happens, I'm kind of down for that. That sounds like a fun match.
I was gonna say maybe not next week, but the week after we'll probably get it.
I mean, that sounds like a fun match. I mean, I'll be perfectly honest. I think that sounds like a fun match.
Yeah.
But then we got the Johnny versus Braun entrance with Johnny Gargano coming out to the chants of "Please don't go, please don't go." And then we got the final thing we'll talk about, because we already talked about the main event match, was a promo for Draco Anthony. Again, random name generator, but it works out for them this time. He talks about how normally the people with the biggest mouths can't back it up, but not here in NXT 2.0. Everybody who's here can talk the talk and walk the walk. And I like that. He's being like, look, I get it. Normally when you hear somebody talking about how they're the best, they go ahead and, can't back it up. Now you're in the wrestling world like this, not necessarily the case. I'm intrigued to see what happens with him. I wonder how many weeks it's going to be before we see him. It could be next week. It could be 3 weeks from now. What do you think of the promo? It was pretty basic.
Yeah, but I feel like at least, like I told you before, at least now they're giving us the video package before they have them do the match, and just like not telling us who that person is. So at least now when we see them in the match, we already know who that person is and a little bit of what can we expect, which I'm like, this is how it should have been from the beginning with most of these people that we didn't know about that just came out of nowhere. So I like the timing of like having him and like Tiffany, that we had another promo for her. Like when Tiffany comes, we'll know who she is because of the promos. Him and Idris is the other one. We got the promo from him. So we already knew obviously his name coming into the match, which I liked. Because I'm like, I feel weird when they have this person in the background. They don't have a nameplate. And then all of a sudden in commentary, they don't give us a name either. So just like, okay. But at least having a name makes me feel like I should care about them, because they're going to be here for a little while. It's not like, for example, Malik, who they barely mention him. And then there's other people like they barely said their name. So just like, yeah, that person's not going to be here on a weekly basis. So it makes me not want to care about them as much, even though I want to. So.
Yeah, I definitely think that they're doing a thing where they're introducing us instead of just giving us 16 unknown people in one night like they did on the opening night of 2.0. But then again, that was they had no choice on that one. They kind of, their hand was dealt to them where they were like, all right, cool, we're going to jump into 2.0. Here's all the new people. Go ahead and figure them out. As they've gotten the hang of it, they're starting. By the way, they're back to live shows. They're not taping. They're back to live shows.
Yeah.
I found that out tonight when you text me pictures of people who were there live tonight. And I'm like, oh, I just saw that thing happen on TV. Okay, cool. Connor brings up an interesting. That sounds like a dig at MJF because of the ongoing thing that he can't back up his mouth in the ring. I don't think NXT typically doesn't do the whole petty back and forth thing. This is a dig at the people that in the real world. It's like the bully who thinks he's big and bad always talks a big game, but if you stand up to the bully, typically that's all it takes to get him to stand down. Like, I think that's where they were trying to go with this whole gimmick, is that it's like, because he's a smaller guy, so he's used to people talking about how great they are and things like that. Wow, Connor. Wow. I was not the bully in school.
Now we should go back to shh.
I was not the bully in school. We're not going to talk about high school. Yeah, Dara. Oh, snap. But anyways, that was NXT for tonight. It did a really good job of setting up. Like I said, other than the segments with Idris Inoue and Solo Sikoa, everything else pretty much set up things that were happening at the pay-per-view. And then there was Indian Persia and Zion Quinn and Elektra. I miss Cody. So me and you are going to do some predictions for NXT War Games while we got some time at the tail end of the show before we let all these fine people go home and go to bed. So, Duke Hudson versus Cameron Grimes. Who do you got?
It's like, I don't want Cameron bald, so I'm just going to go with Duke Hudson.
So you think Duke's going to make him bald?
No, I think Duke should lose the match.
Oh, okay. So you're picking Cameron Grimes.
Yeah.
Okay. I think Duke's going to win this. I think that the way you end this is to end it with Cameron Grimes getting his head shaved. I hope it's not the way it goes, but I think that's the way it goes. And Connor agrees with me right now and says that he has Duke Hudson. He also asks, what is bed? We have Joe Gacy versus Roderick Strong for the Cruiserweight Championship. I'm going to go ahead and take Joe Gacy here.
Yeah, just even with other people that Diamond Mine has, I feel like Gacy has to win it the way they've been pushing him. If he doesn't, it's just like, what is it going to be like for the week after for his promos? So
we've got Gacy. Dara Amazing says he has Duke Hudson. So very, very nice. We have Kyle O'Reilly and Von Wagner versus Imperium. 1, 2, 3, Imperium.
Imperium. There you go.
All right. We have 2.0 versus, and Connor agrees, Black and Gold. 2.0 versus Black and Gold. What you got?
Oh my God. I'm so torn on this one. I just like, I like the old school ones. So I'm going to go with the old school guys, but I feel like new school is going to win anyway. So I'll do old school.
I'll just say I have new school. I have 2.0 winning this. I don't think you book this match and not put over the young kids, especially the way you've done it. I think it builds so many more feuds, and it puts these kids on a huge pedestal, and nobody on the other side loses anything if they lose this match, because you're still heading towards a rematch between Braun Breaker and Daddy Ciampa. You're still headed to Pete Dunne versus Tony D'Angelo. It's probably going to be the end for LA Knight and Grayson Waller, but Grayson Waller needs something else to do. So maybe he moves up into a feud with Dexter Lumis. And then that leaves Carmelo Hayes free to work with somebody like Roderick Strong, somebody like Santos Escobar, somebody like Zion Quinn. So I think it's definitely 2.0. Dar Amazing says, man, I want to see Black and Gold, but 2.0 has to win. I'm with you guys. Like, don't get me wrong. I love Black and Gold. And, I wish upon wish that they would win. But it seems like it detracts from everything you've done in 2.0 and the way you've positioned your entire 2.0 product. It seems like a slap in the face if you have them lose this match. And then we have Toxic
I feel
Attraction.
like yeah, I was gonna say from that one, I do feel like Dexter could go with Carmelo because he was the one that attacked his hand, wasn't he? So that could be another option for him too afterwards.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find something for Grayson Waller to do. And I'm like,
Yeah.
a Dexter Loomis would be fun, especially if Waller gets the pin on Gargano and Gargano goes away and maybe Dexter comes after him. Like, there's a lot of different ways this can go. It's going to be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And we have Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai versus Raquel, Io, Cora, and KLR.
Mm.
You know
There's
who
another
I'm
one.
picking
I'm
on
just
this one.
like, oh, I know who you're picking. You're just like, I feel like no matter who, I feel like us as fans were winners in this match because I like all the girls in this match. But yeah, I feel like it's gonna be Toxic Attraction and Dakota winning.
Yeah, and I'm definitely taking Toxic Attraction. No surprise here that my love for Mandy Rose has me picking Toxic Attraction. That being said, they need
Dakota.
the ups. And Dakota Kai, yes. Dakota Kai is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. I do love me some Dakota Kai. But all the upside is on the team with Toxic Attraction and Dakota Kai. Nobody loses anything losing a War Games match.
Mm-hmm.
Io is going to end up in the trash can jumping off the top of the cage again. So
Oh my god.
I don't know what Cora Jade's skateboard is going to do in this match, but I guarantee you it does something. Dakota could attack her teammates after the match. She could. Dakota loves attacking people in War Games matches. There's something else for Love Wrestling that you're seeing coming out in the near future.
She's gonna be too busy glitching after the match.
Yeah. But yeah, so that is War Games in a nutshell. I also think we're going to get the Shaman because might as well. You got two and a half hours of that. So here's the fun parts where we're going to go ahead and do our plugs, and I'm going to explain to you where you can see both us and me. You know, because I have another duty to uphold this week. So. But first, we have one last question from the chat. Who do you see taking the pin in the Women's War Games match? For me, Raquel Gonzalez.
Probably, yeah. Because I feel like KLR shouldn't be losing any matches at this point. Having her, like, you want her showcased and have her, like, having that momentum going on. So I don't see her losing like that. Maybe Io, she doesn't have much going on at the moment, so I don't think she will mind like her taking the pin either. But yeah, Cora after pinning Mandy, she shouldn't get the pin anyway. So I feel it's between Io and Raquel for me.
Yeah, I say 100% Raquel. Like I said, everybody's protected in a War Games. You know, if you could have, you know, Cora Jade get pinned after being the one to start the match for her team. Even with the advantage, you can go ahead and have Cora Jade start the match. I think it'll be Raquel starting the match, to be honest, which is why I think she'll take the pin. Connor thinks it'll be Io. There's a lot of options. I mean, honestly, there's two options on that side. On the other side, I think Dakota, if the other team wins, I think Dakota's a really good option to eat a pin. But both Gigi Dolan and JC Jane, anybody but Mandy on the other team, because I don't think you're pinning your world champion in that scenario. I mean, we did it last year, but I don't think you do it back-to-back years. I hope not. So we're going to give you the big screen as you talk about where we're going to find you over the next week or so.
Now that I think about it, I don't have much going on aside from work. I need a life. So I guess reacts. So we do reacts this week. But other than that, you know, back here for, we have the reacts on this Sunday for War Games. And then Tuesday for regular NXT with you and maybe Cody. If not, maybe we'll have a special guest at this point. Who knows? But just wait and see. I guess it's one of those things that we'll have to play it out. But other than that, my Twitter, which will be Astro Pizarro, I'll be tweeting about anything that I'm watching when I'm not here. So that'll be it for me for now.
And of course, you can find me with Astrid, and hopefully the return of our dear friend Cody will hopefully be back from assignment this Sunday for War Games. But if you want to watch War Games and chit chat with me and get my thoughts before then, you can catch me on the Tom Collihue Twitch and YouTube channels as we go ahead and dual stream the live watch party for NXT's War Games. And that'll be at twitch.tv/Tom Collihue. Otherwise, you'll find me here, like I said, Sunday night after the show. We'll be going ahead and going live for our reacts to the NXT War Games show, covering everything that happened, talking about what we see coming forward. It won't be a long show like this. It'll probably be the 45 minutes to an hour version as opposed to an hour and a half or so. But Astrid always likes it when we have the shorter shows.
Sorry, I had to sleep. I work the next day.
Cora, Dara, before we get out of here, Dara says Cora could take the pin. I don't like the idea of people who need momentum taking a pin in a War Games match if you don't have to. Mm-hmm. And that's why I think KLR and Cora are pretty much nonplussed from that. What is a life? I've never heard of this concept. That doesn't surprise me, sir. War Games. Oh, come on. I've been the punching bag all show. I'm going to take one shot back. Also, the NXT got pinned in both women's War Games match. I didn't realize it happened in the 19 version either, but okay, yeah, that is right. Shayna did get pinned by Rhea in that first War Games. Does a War Games match open the show? Absolutely. They're going to book these War Games, and it'll be the ladies like it always is. I would love to say that the ladies have earned the main event, but unfortunately, I think Black and Gold versus 2.0, even if you just take it as which match is a bigger deal, a bigger match, I think even you have to agree. As well built as the ladies' match is, the more interesting match is the 2.0 versus Black and Gold. But I do think that the War Games matches will book in the show. There's no reason not to. I also love that this is the one night where we get them bouncing from ring to ring. So because there will be 2 rings at ringside. For anybody who hasn't seen a War Games, you're in for a treat. These are fantastic. I miss William Regal. Big Willie Reegs. I miss you, buddy.
Just like every time I hear War Games, I just keep thinking this could have been LTF versus Hit Row, but no, we don't get the things we really want. And it just makes me upset.
So now that we're here and we're at War Games, we're heading to War Games on Sunday. Would you have rathered Hit Row versus LDF in a 3-on-3? Or would you rather 2.0 versus Black and Gold?
Well, I would have wanted 4 and 4, to be honest. I would have given a little spots here and there for the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like it's one of those things that you could protect both of the ladies because they don't necessarily have to wrestle. They can throw stuff at each other. That would have been fine. But I would have liked it because I feel like they needed that conclusion to that feud. And I feel like we didn't get that like big chapter end with them. And then obviously that happened. So yeah, I feel like I would have gotten that for that closure, to be exact.
That happened. You mean the release of Hit Row?
Yes. Don't say it.
3-on-3 War Games sounds small. It is. When they did the 3-on-3 the first time, they did it as 3 teams of 3 to fill out the War Games cage a little bit more, to have 9 people in the cage, and it ended up with Roddy Strong tag team with AOP. That was fun. Raw versus SmackDown in War Games. No, thank you. I've seen what they've done to Survivor Series. Leave my War Games alone. I want to see War Games make it to that main roster ASAP. I just want to see as many War Games matches as possible. No. Bad people. Bad.
As much as I like War Games, I'd rather keep it an NXT thing because I feel like they've done very well with it so far. So
I've grown tired of pure faction warfare War Games. This just feels like a breath of fresh air. It really does. They've done a good job making the teams almost feel like a united front because it's all feuds coming together in a semi-normal way. But yeah, no, it's definitely a breath of fresh air. I don't miss, Undisputed Era in this match as much as I thought I would. Nice to see Choke Goat Gaming back, though. Hopefully we can see some more people on the show in the near future. And we guys, yes, WWE can keep Hell in the Cell in the Elimination Chamber. Absolutely. They can keep those wonderful matches and let us have our war games, and we'll be happy campers. For Astrid, I'm Ed. Oh, almost forgot. I don't know if Zach and them did it in the beginning of their show. We want to shout out our sponsors, RK Athletics. Rich King is a fantastic gentleman who apparently punched Parrish in his perishables, and his perishables are still a little rough around the edges. So, that's what happens when you irritate the sponsors. Parrish gets punched in the perishables. So go follow RK Athletics 1 on Twitter and Instagram. Rich King posts all kinds of wonderful content for his workout stuff and his nutrition. If you're in the Edmonton, Alberta area, go ahead and see Rich King about getting some in-person physical training. If you're anywhere else in the world and you want to get some personal training from Rich King, go ahead and hit him up on Instagram and Twitter, RK Athletics 1, and you can go ahead and try to set up some virtual personal training with Mr. Rich King. Remember that you can find us here on twitch.tv/lovewrestlingca. You can find us on YouTube at youtube.com/lovewrestlingca, where we recently passed over 1,000 subscribers. So thank you. And of course, if you want any of your Love Wrestling merchandise, including pre-ordering our wonderful new Live, Laugh, and Love Wrestling shirts, you can pre-order those at lovewrestling.ca/shop. I am very excited to get mine. The design looks fantastic, so I'm very excited to see what they are. Remember that throughout the week, we're going to have all kinds of fun shows. The flagship will be back this Thursday with Between Two Beards. They were on Turnbuckle Talk today, so go ahead and check out Turnbuckle Talk, which aired at 8 o'clock tonight. Catch that on the YouTube channel. We have all kinds of fun stuff, including Poetry of a Promo. We got Smark and Friends coming up on Thursday. Spencer Love is doing a fantastic interview with the daughter of the Dynamite Kid this week on Spencer Love Interviews. And like I said, we will absolutely have our show. The Weekend War Report will be on. So the Weekend Elite Report. The Weekend Elite Report. So everybody go ahead and have a wonderful night, and we will catch you all next time. Hit the right button, Ed. Hit the right button, Ed.